When most people see New Zealand for the first time, they think the same thing. Beautiful landscapes, nature, Lord of the Rings, looks like a great place to live. And on the surface, that makes sense. Two large islands, mountains, lakes, rivers, and forests everywhere you look. Nothing about it screams hard to live here. But even with all that space and decent weather, roughly 78% of New Zealand has no permanent population. It's almost empty. Most people are squeezed into a few specific areas, while huge parts of the country sit completely untouched. The answer isn't about money or politics, it's about geography. The land itself, for all its beauty, simply can't support large numbers of people in most places. New Zealand is actually bigger than the United Kingdom. Its two main islands, the North Island and the South Island, are among the larger land masses on the planet. Most people are surprised when they see them on a proper map. But being big doesn't mean being livable. A huge portion of New Zealand's land is nearly impossible to turn into cities, farms, or roads. The country sits on an active tectonic zone and is covered in rough, steep terrain. That becomes very clear when you look at the South Island. The South Island is the bigger of the two, but by far the least populated. Running straight through the middle of it is a massive mountain range called the Southern Alps. These aren't gentle hills, they're tall, sharp peaks built up over millions of years by two tectonic plates crashing into each other. In many spots, the mountains rise so fast there's barely any flat land on either side. When terrain is that rugged, everything gets expensive. Roads, towns, power lines, railways, they all cost far more to build and maintain, so people simply don't settle there. But the mountains create another major problem on top of that. The Southern Alps split the South Island's weather in two, and neither side ends up ideal. Wet winds blow in from the ocean and hit the western side of the island first. When that air hits the mountains, it rises, cools down, and dumps a massive amount of rain onto a narrow strip of western coastline. It's one of the rainiest places on Earth. By the time that air crosses the mountains, it's already dry. It warms back up and brings very little rain to the east. The result is a strange paradox. The west is too wet, too steep, and too unstable to settle. The east is flatter and more accessible, but some inland areas receive less than 400 millimeters of rain per year, making intensive farming very difficult. The part where it rains too much is unlivable, and the part that's easier to build on doesn't have enough water to grow food at scale. Here's a number that surprises almost everyone. Less than 2% of New Zealand's land is truly arable, meaning suitable for growing crops at scale. That puts New Zealand in the same tier as some of the world's driest countries, despite looking so green. What actually grows well isn't crops, it's grass. Grass survives even in poor soil, so livestock farming gradually took over. Sheep, cattle, dairy, vast areas of land, but very few workers needed to run them. That one fact shaped everything: where people live, how the economy works, and why cities never really spread beyond a few fixed points. This is why the North Island holds most of the population. It's less rugged, has more continuous flatland, and gets more consistent rainfall throughout the year. Temperatures run a little warmer, and parts of it sit on fertile volcanic soil. The country's main ports, airports, and transport connections are all located there too. That combination pulls people in and keeps them there. The result is extreme centralization. Auckland alone holds about 34% of New Zealand's entire population, roughly 1.8 million people in one metro area, in a country of just over 5 million. Everything outside that core, mostly empty. Even where geography could allow more people, there's another force working against it: pure distance.
New Zealand sits in the far corner of the largest ocean on the planet, the South Pacific. Its nearest neighbor, Australia, is still over 1,500 kilometers away.
It was one of the last major habitable places on Earth that humans actually found and settled. While other regions had thousands of years to accumulate people, build cities, and develop trade networks, New Zealand has only been inhabited for around 800 years. That's nothing in historical terms. Less time of settlement means fewer people across generations. Fewer people means fewer cities. Fewer cities means there's less reason to push into harder, more remote terrain. The country simply never had the head start that older civilizations did. These geographic limits directly shape the economy. With so little truly livable land and only a handful of large cities, New Zealand never developed a wide network of industrial centers or service hubs spread across the country. The economy leaned into what the land supports, mainly pastoral farming for export. That occupies massive areas but employs relatively few people. At the same time, packing the population into just a few cities drives up housing costs, strains infrastructure, and limits economic mobility. For people entering the workforce, there are jobs, but limited ways to move or grow over time. Faced with that reality, a growing number of New Zealanders look across the water. Australia is the obvious move. It's close, speaks the same language, and has a much bigger job market spread across multiple cities. Since 1973, New Zealanders have had the automatic right to live and work in Australia without a visa. An agreement called the Trans-Tasman Travel Agreement. No application, no waiting, just go. The numbers tell the story. New Zealand citizens recorded a net migration loss of nearly 46,400 people in 2025 alone, with over 72,000 departures in a single year. Overall net migration into the country collapsed from over 100,000 in early 2024 to just 12,400 by late 2025, the lowest since 2013. The country is now on the edge of population stagnation. And it isn't just ordinary people making that call. In February 2026, former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern confirmed she and her family had settled in Sydney, Australia. She was spotted house hunting on the city's northern beaches. Her spokesperson said simply, they have work there, and it also allows for more time back home in New Zealand. If even the country's most recognizable leader ends up making the same move as thousands of everyday Kiwis, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. For most New Zealanders, moving to Australia isn't about abandoning home. It's about finding more room to build a life. When you put all of this together, the pattern stops looking strange. New Zealand isn't empty because people don't want to be there. Most of the land is empty because it genuinely can't support large-scale farming or infrastructure. Human settlement goes exactly as far as the terrain, soil, climate, and location allow, and not much further. And that reference about Lord of the Rings is because most of its filming locations are in the remote South Island interior and far rural North Island, exactly the places where nobody lives. The sweeping valleys, the untouched ridgelines, the dramatic empty plains, they're empty in the films because they were already empty in real life. Middle-earth looked like another world. It was New Zealand all along, the 78% that geography left behind. Now, which other country has landscapes this famous, but is mostly empty for the same geographic reasons? Drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching it, and subscribe for more True Geo stories. See you in the next one.